George, can you talk about the fourth quarter, just finding that groove, um, hitting several threes in that quarter? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first one I had was on the right wing. I think Dyson did a great job of getting into the lane and kicking out, and I think that's kind of story of our offense, right? Guys driving to the paint, other guys are over helping because we have guys that can finish at the rim and above the rim, and we were simply moving the ball. Those guys did a great job of finding me, and I was doing my job tonight, and I was making shots. So obviously, once you see a couple go in, you start to become more aggressive and hunt your shot, and that's what I was doing out there, and the ball was going in.
George, you guys were able to build up a 22, 23-point lead at one point throughout the game. Just in moments like this, how do you try not to let the rope sort of go, especially this late in the season?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is continuing to focus on building good habits, right? You look at our team, there's a lot of, first, second, third, fourth, fifth-year guys, and if you can consistently build habits of no matter what happens, win, loss, draw, happy, mad, sad, I'm going to do these 3-4 things night in and night out basis, I think at the end of the road, you see that you start to become successful, right? And success isn't linear, right? We won 4 in a row, lost to Brooklyn, now we won 2 in a row, and it's like you want to keep that going, but you also want to continue to win in the margins, and whether that's getting contest on shots or always running back on defense or building a wall or rebounding. The list goes on forever, but you want to build those habits to where it becomes second nature so that you're not losing games by doing things that you can control or not doing things that you can control. And I think that we've done an amazing job of that. And you just look at the habits that guys have built. Like, you look how far Zachary Richelet has come, and the fact that he's not the rookie of the year, right? Given the circumstances, like, he was on a team that had a lot of wings, and what he's been able to do is remarkable. I mean, the guy shows up every day, doesn't complain, whether if he plays 20 minutes, 29 minutes. He's always defending, he's fearless, and he's 19 years old. And if that guy isn't rookie of the year, then I don't know. NBA, what are we doing?
When you are making shots, like you said, in the second half, do you find yourself hunting for them even more? Like, are you calling for the ball? Like, is anything changed when you're making shots like that?
Yeah, I learned at a young age that calling for the ball usually leads to the reverse effect of what you were talking about. So I usually like to have my eyes wide open and show my hands and maybe clap. But no, obviously, I think when you're rolling, I think everybody has a sense of and feel of that, and you never want to make it about you, right? Yes, I'm making shots, but I think we have enough smart guys on the court that if I am open and I have a possible shot to get off that, they'd be looking for me. But also there's a dynamic of the game where if you're making shots, it's a thing like we like to call like gravity, where your guy isn't going to be helping in because he knows that you've made shots. And I'm talking about the defender. And sometimes just being a presence in areas where you're occupying your guy so that a guy like Trey, Dyson, Karras, Zach, even you name it, has driving lanes to get Terrence to get into the lane, and sometimes that's good enough, and sometimes people get that misconstrued if you're a shooter where you're like, oh, I'm hot, I got to get off 3 more because they might go in. No, that's not the purpose of it. And if you can occupy space and keep your guy away from helping, I think that's also a valuable thing.
George, I just want to ask you about defense. Obviously, Jimmy Butler's still
Okay,
at
continue.
25, but just how were you guys trying to make it more difficult for him, trying to get the ball out of his hands? And obviously, he went to the free throw line still, but I know that was kind of a game plan to not get him to go to the free throw line.
Yeah, if you notice, Jimmy Butler is really good at getting his teammates involved and really good at getting to his spots, but also really good at getting fouled, right? I don't think he's fishing for it, or he's just a really unique player, right? And his way of scoring a lot of points happens to be at the free throw line, and it's not even gimmicky. It's actually like it's a skill. He gets under there, and some guys are used to only one shot fake. He might shot fake 5 times. So the toughest part tonight is he look at, he had 14 free throw attempts. When that usually happens, when I've played against Jimmy Butler, that's usually a loss. So the fact that we could get away with fouling him that much and winning is awesome because he's has a unique skill of getting to the free throw line, and he usually makes all of them. So thank you, Jimmy.
In the six and a half seasons that Trey's been here, late game offense very often has gone through him. But since Karras arrived, I think, maybe the Hawks have played through him more than anybody else during Trey's tenure. What is it about Karras's game that, kind of enables Trey to play off the ball or as a screener more than?
Yeah, I've gotten really close with Karras, and when you talk about someone that is a basketball gym rat or whatever, Karras definitely comes to mind, right? I'll just give you a little brief story. I always like to come back at night to get shots up, and I usually bring a rebounder with me or ask one of the video guys to rebound for me. And every time I'm usually in there, Karras is on some hoop by himself, just, as if he was a 10-year-old kid in his backyard or at the playground. And when you see that and you see the work that Karras puts in, and I think Trey sees that, and I think all the coaching staff sees that, and then you see it in his production, that builds trust. And, I think when you have trust in someone and then they prove it to you when the bright lights are on, which Karras has done numerous times, that's someone that you want the ball in their hands late game. And Trey trusts him, we trust him, coach trusts him, and that's our guy. And we're going to go down swinging with those two handling the basketball, that's for sure.
George, you have fit in very smoothly with this team, along with the other new guys. What has been the reason for that, and are you surprised that the transition has been so easy for the new guys?
No, I think when you have a locker room full of great guys that are willing to put their egos aside and put winning at the forefront of everything, and then your leader, right? Our leader is, Quinn Snyder, and then the coaching staff down from there. And I think Coach Q does a great job of kind of spelling things out of what he expects out of guys and being, I wouldn't say brutally honest, but honest enough to where you know what's expected out of you on a night in, night out basis. And if you aren't meeting the criteria of those, well, then your minutes could fluctuate, right? And when you have a coach that's willing to have these conversations with you and be honest with you and be vulnerable, I think it allows all of us to build trust in each other, right? Like, I know what to expect from him. I know what to expect from Zach, Mo, O, Trey, Karras, Terrence, Dom, everybody down the line, because it's kind of spoken to in basketball terms. So that's kind of been the easiest thing for me, is I can come in and have this open dialogue of what's expected of me and what I need to do on a night in, night out basis. So I'm not shooting in the dark thinking like, oh, this is what I think I should be doing. And the coach is like, no, I don't want you doing any of that. So I think the trust that, Quinn has built with this group, and then the trust that we've built within each other because of Quinn's honesty and vulnerability, is something that allows for everybody to fit into a role on this team, which allows us to win. Yep, absolutely.